I'm going to go through the grade 3 Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music scales on violin. I'm going to be doing the long tonic version, which is on page 4 of this book. We start off with 3 one-octave scales: A flat major, E flat major and E major. They all have the same finger pattern. By that I mean they have the same spaces in between your fingers. Let's just have a look at where they start on the strings. So A flat major is first back on the G string. So you play G, and that is A flat. And then you have E flat, which is first back on the D string. And then you have E major, which is the first finger on the D string in the usual place. So let's just start off with A flat major. So make sure that your finger is back, of course, like I said. So you have this pattern on your strings. You have it's wide, fairly wide, and then close. And that's the same on both strings. So the same on this string, and then you come back down again. Looking at E flat major, exactly the same pattern. Again, you've got your hand back. So hand back on A flat major, hand back on E flat major, and then your hand is in the usual place for E major. And the same pattern again. So you just learn those scales together, and it makes life a lot easier. Make sure that you practice them also with the slurs. Just make sure that you give one long bow on the tonic notes, and the rest are slurred in twos. Now for the next grade, for grade 4, you will have a different bowing pattern, but for grade 3 you need to get used to playing slurred, just the notes in twos. Okay, so B flat major was a scale that you also learnt for grade 2. You just need to make sure you start on the right note. So for that one, you make sure that your second finger is back to begin with. I used my 4th finger the first time round, but you can just use the open string for D. And then when you come to A, you can use A. But when you come to the E flat, you need to use your 4th finger, because you can't play the E string. B flat major has 2 flats, you see. It's got B flat and E flat. So you can't play the open string E, because that will sound wrong. So at the beginning, second back, 3rd finger, and then open D, and then you've got first back, second back, 3rd in the normal place, A, first back, second back, 3rd, 4th, and that needs to be close because it's an E flat. You don't want to stretch it out too much like you would normally. First back, and then again you have the same finger pattern on the E string as you had on the A string. You've got first back, and then second back, 3rd and 4th back. So it's that kind of pattern on the top string. Okay, so D major, for grade 3 on the violin, you need to learn how to play in the 3rd position. So one thing that you need to make sure of is that when you shift up, you are not moving your fingers like this. You need to keep them in the same shape so that when you move your hand up, when you put your fingers down, they're in the same position. So D major, and then here, most people have trouble coming down. So you need to make sure that you do that. This is something that you will need to practice anyway, so I think it's a good idea to practice the shifting. There is an alternative fingering for this scale, which starts on the second finger on the G string. And then you don't have to shift, you just stay in the third position all the time, so you can put your second finger on the G string. But you do need to make sure that you are able to stretch over, so it's not entirely without its difficulties. Probably quite a good idea to practice both and see which one you feel most comfortable with, but obviously in terms of shifting, you will have to learn how to shift anyway. Now you also have D minor. You will have to decide whether to learn D minor melodic or D minor harmonic. D minor melodic, for example, would sound like that, and D harmonic in the other fingering. For deciding between the two, you have to make a decision as to whether you're going to follow the fingering where you start on the second finger on the G string and stay in the third position all the way up for both D major and D minor. And you also have to make a decision as to whether you're actually going to learn the melodic or the harmonic form of the minor scale, and then stick to it so that you can learn it effectively. Usually, if you've played the piano before, your piano teacher would have encouraged you to learn one form of the minor scale. Whichever one you learnt first is probably a good choice, because you will remember the pattern in your head, and then it will be easier to remember on the violin. Another minor scale that you need to learn for grade 3 is A minor, so A minor melodic. It's pretty straightforward. Ascending, of course, you raise the 6th and the 7th, which is F sharp and G sharp, and then on the way back you lower them. So on the way down it's just like C major, you haven't got any sharps or flats to worry about. Of course, on the violin that means that your second finger is back on the A string and the D string. A harmonic minor. The A minor one, and of course, like I said, you've done the B flat major one before, and I think probably the D major, well, not obviously the shifting, but you have actually learned the 2 octaves, but you probably played 1 octave before. Arpeggios. The difference between grade 2 and grade 3 on the arpeggios for grade 3 is that you need to learn how to slur the arpeggios in 3s. So it would be quite a good idea to practice that on the open strings first. Make sure that you can it would help if my violin is in tune, but and then you can learn how to slur the notes nice and easily without having to worry about putting your fingers down. So make sure that you can do that nice and cleanly before you have a go at the slurred arpeggios. For A flat major, E flat major and E major, you have the same finger pattern again. So those are good ones to practice first. relatively easy to learn. And then you've got B flat major, D major, A minor, and then D minor, on the D minor and the D major arpeggios, again, you've got the option of starting with your with your second finger, sorry, on the G string in third position, like that. But I don't see the advantage of doing that on the arpeggio, because when you're shifting up, you've got a whole. It's much easier to go. You've got while you're playing the open A string, you can just shift your hand up, and then on the same on the way back. Whereas if you start here, it's a little bit more awkward to do. So that's something to think about. Again, you need to choose this early on. What you don't want is to confuse your brain. You need to make sure that your scales and arpeggios are from memory as well. So you need to make sure that you make an early decision about the type of minor scale that you're going to do, whether you're going to actually play everything in the third register, or whether you're going to shift up from the first to the second to the third and then back again for the D minor and the D major. And also have a think about how you're going to incorporate the slurring both in the scale and in the arpeggio, because of course with the arpeggios you've got this three in a bow, which is a little bit different from grade 2. The chromatic scale I've actually covered off a tutorial in detail in another video. I hope that was useful. Bye for now.